Aloha and welcome to today's episode of the Ascension Cast. I'm here with Kirk, who is an amazing empath. I have seen very few people working on an empathic level that he does. He can feel everything going on around him. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, hi, Brian. My name is Kirk. It's true. I am an empath. I also am clairsentient, psychic feeling, which I've really expanded the past few years since I've known Brian, for sure. And yeah, we should start off by how we met. I was actually looking on YouTube to see if this casted live, and it did.
You want to tell them how we met?
Well, go ahead, because I don't remember her name of the yoga studio.
I can't remember who. Oh, wow. That's been a minute ago, but we went to a yoga studio. I was doing sessions with the owner. Really beautiful studio. But then I made a friend, Lisa, and when I was doing I went to a meditation, and I was actually doing the meditation. I led kind of a hypnosis session for people to get into the Akashic Records. But when we're there, that's when I met you, and you just knew me right off the bat. You recognized me from past lives, and you were absolutely sure about it. So that was really interesting to meet you, and then we've been best friends ever since.
Yeah, so I was going to a yoga studio in Elyria for probably 5 sessions, and I was telling her name is Lisa, I don't remember, but I was telling her I was getting in my mind that I need a shaman. I need to meet a shaman, and I expressed this to her. It's like, I need to meet a shaman. It's coming to me, and this is really important because it was coming to me often. So she's like, "Oh, I know one, and I can have him come to the studio to do a journey or a lesson." And so when you got there, we met, and then we did the journey to the Akashic Records. All of us, there's probably 4 of us there. Okay. And in the journey, you lifted us off with Archangel Metatron to the Akashic Records. And you told us to go through our records to see where there was any red. And if we had any, problems in past lives, to go there and, basically look at the journey of our lifetime. Okay. And so I had some red in the current lives, but way in the past, I had some red. And then when I was exploring the past, I remembered that I knew you, and that I was female and you were male, and that must have been ancient Egypt. I feel like that was the case, and you went off somewhere and you never came back. And so coming out of that journey, I was like, wow, I know this guy from long, long, long ago. And the first thing you said to me was, "Do you remember me? I remember you." And I was like, whoa, boom. Like, I was already thinking that. I knew this guy from a long time ago. I don't know if we were lovers or I was infatuated with you back in ancient Egypt, but you must have went off to war or something, and you never came back. And so into this life, and after the journey, I was like, whoa, it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of like an amazing reintroduction, or like a healing from that time a little bit. And yeah, it was good to see you. And so we had an instant connection. And I knew it was true because immediately once I came out of that journey, you said to me, "Do I remember you?" And in fact, I did. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now the rest is history.
And you have been instrumental in the activation of my temple. So I have a giant mini Stonehenge back in the forest, massive boulders. We used bulldozers and backhoes to push them into place in a massive circle. We have a ceremonial fire there, and now there's a pyramid we built, a kind of a step pyramid in the center, where we can do healing on. And you always go back there and kind of tell me, the feel and what you're experiencing back there. And we kind of clean up and activate the energy back there, along with leaving offerings for the nature spirits. Every time you come over, you bring apples for the nature spirits or other gifts and offerings. So you helped a lot physically cleaning up that space. When I left for a few years, it got really overgrown, and we've transformed it into this beautiful park-like space back there. We planted grass, and it's just a beautiful place to be. It's one of my favorite places in Northern Ohio to be.
Yeah. Well, it started off as a circle, us remaking the circle and activating the circle, and then you made that stone pile in the middle years later. But that's an interesting thing to talk about is when we were doing that, I was getting that we needed to create, like, I guess, a spiritual vortex of light that comes through the circle to heal the earth. And so we began doing that in other places, like in Rocky River. We made one in Rocky River. And,
yeah.
My backyard in Overland, Ohio, at my old house. And so I was getting that we had to make all these circles, and I guess you could call them grids, to create more grids. And then I was telling you in your journeys to create grids wherever you went, Australia and Hawaii. And so I think that was really important. And a lot of the fun work we did, as beginning of a friendship. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And you've been there.
We need to do a new one at this house, my new house.
Yeah. We need to go over there and build a sacred site over at your new house. It's just beautiful where you're at. An amazing log cabin. So yeah, that'll be really nice. And it's starting to get into really nice energy out your way. The energy up this way is a little bit stagnant, but as you go south and get more out into the remote country where you're at, it's really nice and fresh energy out there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why is that in Ohio?
I've heard a lot of explanations for that. There's, of course, the NASA bases and the underground bases here. We have NASA Plumbrook, and I'm sitting right on top of, right in the center between the two bases at Cleveland Hopkins and also NASA Plumbrook, which are probably connected by maglev tunnels. So I'm right on top of their maglev tunnels where I'm at. So that brings some interesting energies. In fact, the Area 51 crash from Roswell, or not Area 51, the Roswell crash was brought to Wright Pat Air Force Base. And I've heard that components have been brought up to the Cleveland NASA, or at Cleveland Hopkins Airport, the NASA base there. One of the interesting technologies that was brought up here and worked on, at least in Wright Pat Air Force Base down in Dayton, is the telepathic chair. So when you sit in this chair, I've heard different explanations, but there's nerve bundles right on the back of your shoulders where all these nerve bundles cross. So then when you sit into it, there's almost like two nubs that when you lean into it, it interfaces with your nervous system. So then you can telepathically control these craft or other technologies now. So that technology kind of gave rise to a lot in the projects. Not that it's been out in the open or in the mainstream knowledge, but there's some really interesting technology that was brought back and discovered in that crash.
Native American sites that were demolished in Northeast Ohio. And I was actually talking about this today, that Ohio has been a dumping ground for chemicals for a long time, and it continues to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Chemical dump.
I mean, the Cuyahoga River caught on fire.
Yeah,
what's that?
Was it 1969?
Yeah. I don't know the exact date, but it was by the 70s. Around the 70s, the river caught fire. And I think multiple times. Right. So you have to be dumping a lot of toxic garbage into a water source for it to be able to catch fire.
Right. And then currently the the train crash in East Palestine with the chemical dump. And I
Yeah.
just heard today that there is a landfill in southern Ohio that's become radiated. That's right on over an aquifer that's going to be potentially going through Ohio streams. And it's just like Ohio's been just has been assaulted with all this stuff. So I feel like that's partially why the energy is the way it is. But and what I would like to do, and this part of the work we were doing, is clearing that energy and cleaning it up and like making Ohio more high vibration again. And we were doing that work, to start it.
Another aspect is that there were massive civilizations here, the mound builders. And then after the mound builders, there was a whole nother civilization. So they don't really talk about these eras as civilization. They say they came across the Bering Land Strait, people from Asia and Siberia, and then they populated the American continent. But they don't talk about the red-headed giants that were already here, that had built megalithic structures, that built massive mound complexes. And if you go to Newark, Ohio, it's very evident. There's massive mound complexes there, and the vast majority of them have been paved over to put in a gas station or a used car lot, or it's been destroyed. And even up in northern Ohio, there's a mound that's now a cemetery in Avon, right at the corner of 83 and I believe Detroit Road. And they're talking about, well, we don't really know if it was a native mound. The native buried their dead there before the settlers buried their dead on top of the natives. But we don't know if it was actually a native mound. Well, they used it, and it was a mound. It was a primarily flat area except for that mound. So chances are they built it up to use it as a ceremonial burial site. Then the settlers came and buried their dead on top of the existing dead there. The mouth of the Cuyahoga River, the original mouth of the Cuyahoga River, has a mound there. Cleveland Public Square was a massive mound complex. And all throughout northern Ohio, there's massive mound complexes, which most all of them got paved over to use as farm fields or housing, or so all these sacred sites got desecrated, and the ancient protector spirits are still there. And they're still really peeved about what happened. If you go back in the forest, you can feel that. And when I first got here, before I started working with the spirits of the land and working to heal the land, you would feel that energy. There's these entities behind, almost seemed like every tree. And you could just sense it. People that are uninitiated or not really spiritual could sense it. I've taken multiple friends back there, and they're like, what is going on? What's there? I'm like, what are you experiencing? Not trying to lead them on or give them like, oh, do you see the entity there? Oh, yeah. So trying to just come from a place of neutrality. Well, what are you seeing? And they would describe the same experience, these shadowy figures standing behind every tree. It could be 95 degrees, 100% humidity, and then all of a sudden you just feel this icy cold feeling all around you, and you just wanted to get out of there. And if you tapped into the energy, it was that energy that you just wanted to cry, scream, or kill someone. It was anger that deep, that angry. So we've done a lot to offer peace offerings and try and get forgiveness for what happened. But it's not just when the missionaries came in and forcibly converted the natives or the slaughter was done to the natives here. It goes back far beyond the early times, the 1800s, the 1700s. There were nations that the red-headed giants that built these mound complexes, 7 to 12 foot and up red-headed giants that they dig up out of the mountains. And also out west, they find a lot of red-headed mummies, which are giants. So they were here and built a lot of the ancient structures before the classical natives we know and understand.
Yeah, that's part of the interesting thing about our relationship is we would go into the woods to create these grids, and I would sense those spirits, and you would like push them off. You know, we have an interesting relationship where I can feel things, either spirits or high dimensional beings. One time, you know, in your stone circle, a high dimensional being came down and was telling me how to heal Brian from, I don't know, a stomach ache or something, and you just had to stand in a spot, and it was working on you. So it's fascinating stuff. That, like, you know, interesting thing about Brian is everything that even sounds wacky is I've learned is comes true or is real.
Yeah, I have a different understanding and awareness of most everything. And
It's
yeah,
claircognizance, really. Claircognizance is part of that, like a psychic
yeah,
knowledge.
I just know things. And from my experience and talking to natives from many, many different traditions all around the world, talking to many empaths and military remote viewers, I have formed a lot of opinions and understandings and perception of things that most people don't even begin to even think about. So I might sound crazy to some people. Like a lot of things I've told you throughout the years, you thought I was crazy, and then everything just started happening.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what I've learned. Even if it sounds a little out there, it's usually come to be right. Yeah. Even I was skeptical about your stone circle putting the rocks in the middle to create a temple. I was a little skeptical about that. And I was like, well, we made this beautiful stone circle, and then you're piling up rocks in the middle. And then you told me why. And I've come to like, okay, then that was the right thing to do, even though it sounded unbelievable at first, you know. So why did you do that? Why did you create the temple with the rock in the rock circle?
It's a focal point. So it's like a satellite dish. You know how a dish has the satellite, the dish part of it, but then it has the receiver in it. So it focuses the energy in the center and kind of gives that almost like a positive and a negative electrode in the circle, or like a battery, a positive and negative electrode of the battery. So it creates a flow between them. So you have the outer ring, which is one polarity, and then the inner ring. And so then that creates movement of energy through there.
Yeah. It disrupts my harmony in the stone circle because I loved it the way it was. But after doing that and experiencing it, that's true. Like, it, again, what I thought was strange became to be true for you. And my experience with you has always been that, really. Even if I think you're wrong, you're usually right.
I've gotten used to people thinking I'm crazy. Not many people understand my points of view, but that's okay. You know, they haven't done the research, they haven't done the meditation I've done, the journey work I've done. So for me to get upset about people not understanding where I'm coming from or my point of view, I can't get upset about it. You know, they oftentimes, if they can't accept it because of their current paradigms, um, I'll ask questions. And I oftentimes, instead of telling people things, I'll ask questions, especially if it's something about them. I'll ask a question. I won't tell them, because if I tell them, the ego or part of the subconscious mind will reject that information. But if I ask a question, the answer comes from within. And when the answer comes from within, they can't deny it. They can deny it today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a week from now, they can still deny it. But months from now, years from now, people come back and go, wow, yeah, you're right. You know, that it's like a splinter in their mind.
You're
I
right.
see we have someone watching. If you want, feel free to comment, throw any comments up, and we'll answer any questions you have. Or if you need any healing, we'll definitely address that. So feel free to throw comments up.
It's a great idea. And it's not that I think you're crazy or if people think you're crazy. It's just I question if you're human sometimes because you're on a level, especially when it comes to time. Like, you perceive time differently than I do, and so it's become getting to know those things about you and being comfortable with them and understanding this is like how you are as a powerful being. And it's not that you're crazy, it's just you're definitely different in a good way. Most powerful healer I've ever met, for sure.
Well, thank you. I play the long game. When you've been around as long as I've been around, it's not this sprint to the finish. It's little steps in the right direction. So if I can knock a domino and it knocks the next domino and the next domino, it might not show results in a day. It might not show months in a year, but a decade later, all of a sudden, everything's falling into place. So things have been worked on for millennia to move us towards the direction we're going in. So these plans are multi-lifetime plans that are happening. It's not just, oh, let's do this meditation today and boom, it's a change. No, it has to be little steps in the right direction over vast amounts of time to get the human consciousness to where it needs to be to get to the next level.
Yeah. You know, our relationship, you described it as Sir Arthur and Merlin a long time ago when we were doing the rock circle work. And, you know, it is fascinating. We do have an interesting relationship where if you're working on someone and you need more insight, you'll message me or send me a picture of them and I can feel what's wrong with them. Yeah. And so I love our relationship. It's a good relationship.
Yeah.
We work well together with that. You also, what I was getting to that is you bring out my spiritual abilities for sure. You kind of a way of bringing out people's spiritual abilities and boosting them that are near you, I think.
When people are around each other, especially high energy people, it acts synergistically. It raises the energy. Like even say Key West, when I'm in the Florida Keys where it's the energy of old Atlantis, it brings my energy up and kind of opens things up for me. And I'm able to access a lot more energy to be able to think up here in a much grander way. When we're around each other, you have a very high energy, I have a very high energy, and when you're usually within 3 feet or in the quantum realms, there is no distance, but when we're working together, our energies are connected and it amplifies each other's energy.
Yeah. And I guess this is what this is all about. This weekly podcast is creating that, amplifying that all together. And that's why anyone in Northeast Ohio, we should be getting together to amplify the energy of Ohio. And this is something I've been calling and telling you that we should be doing for sure while we're here.
I did a pipe ceremony. Well, I'll get back to that in a second. The one thing I did want to mention, a lot of people ask why I source my power out to others and ask other people answers. Usually I already know the answer, but it has to do with military remote viewing. Even the best of military remote viewers are about 85% accurate. There's a different style that they do now where it's projected consciousness, where you're astral projecting instead of just kind of viewing. That's a whole different technique, and that's more accurate. But just as far as like military psychics or remote viewers, they're 85% accurate alone. But now when you get multiples, you can get that percentage up past 100% accuracy. So when you have multiple people, so if I know something, I want to make sure that it is not just noise or delusion. So oftentimes I have a team full of people that I can source out questions to. You know, if I get something and I want confirmation, I'll reach out to you. I go, what do you get? I'll reach out to some of my other contacts and see what they get. And if everybody's saying the same thing, I can be very certain that that information is extraordinarily accurate.
Yeah.
So I did a pipe ceremony. I went out into the yard barefoot And I have a native medicine pipe that was gifted to me. I used a combination of tobacco, sage, and bearberry, a very common traditional pipe blend, also known as like kinnikinnick, which just means mixed. So I went out there, I blessed it, and kind of connected with the energy of the sun and the energy of the land, and smoked it. And I got a vision that we should build a sweat lodge back there and host sweat lodges, because it is set up in the exact orientation that would be perfect. So you know how we have the pyramid or the altar or the mesa in the center. Then we have the fire pit on the other side of that. Well, if we build a lodge to the other side, the door would then face the altar, which would then face the fire, and you make a line across from the fire to the sweat lodge with tobacco. And then in that fire, we could then prepare the grandfathers or the stones for the sweat lodge.
Yeah, I'm down. That sounds great.
Yeah. So it was, it kind of worked out perfectly, the way and orientation that everything is set up back there for that. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the next step. And then that would also bring community in. So if we do a weekly, monthly, seasonally, at the change of every season, a purification lodge, and invite people together for that, that would start to bring together a community. And I can also reach out to my native contacts and see if anyone would be willing to come up and put it on. That's not just me experiencing it. I could theoretically run a lodge, but when you have someone that grew up in that tradition, and that tradition has been in the family for tens of thousands of years, there's this deep connection. When they sing their chants, you can feel the energy and the spirits coming into the lodge. When at the end, everyone's heavy energy comes off of them and goes into the stones. When they do the sending away song, you just feel this massive, almost like vacuum coming out the top of the lodge, and it just sucks all that heavy energy out. Anything that hasn't gotten pulled into the grandfather stones, it pulls it right out of the lodge.
Yeah, and this is what this is all about. Doing this weekly podcast is about that community and building it up, because we definitely need to come together to be creating these things often.
Yeah.
It's a platform to meet each other, because so many people out here, but I'm kind of insular, and so to expand our tribe is why I would love to do this weekly every Sunday and incorporate guests and live healing sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've been doing. Life kind of got in the way. I got dropped down into survival mode and busy with everything. And but this is important. This is important, sharing this with everyone. And this is really what makes my heart sing. Sharing information, helping people heal, helping people achieve epiphanies and get that aha moment. Getting them to actualize apocryphon, the knowledge that can't be taught. So much of my teachings are in parables or asking questions, because I can't teach certain things. Nobody can teach certain things. Certain things have to come from within. You have to build this gnosis, this deep inner knowing and apocryphon, knowledge that can't be taught. You have to experience. So a huge part of my practice is creating that experience for people to attain those unattainable things.
When I was setting an intention to talk about today, what came up is guilt and regret. And so we should talk a little about of letting go, since we're on the subject of healing, talking about letting go of guilt and regret. Because firstly, for me, that's sharing what that is, like letting it out, being honest and open about what it is the first part. And that's really coming up for me lately, is a need to do that. So let's talk about guilt and regret and how to let it go, since we're on the subject of healing.
Absolutely. We can go into that next. Yeah. So if you want your idea, let's run with it. Go ahead.
Well, just the beginning of it is having someone, and then you are that for me, is having someone I can be 100% honest with about regrets of the past and guilt and letting that go. Having someone in my life that I can 100% say anything to is part of that. It's the first stage of that. And yeah, I mean, it's like having, because a problem shared is a problem cut in half. Yeah. So
I always try and come from a place of complete understanding. Or compassion, let's say. I come from a place of compassion and non-judgment. I will analyze your situation. I will point out where you've screwed up and how you can fix it, but not from a judgmental standpoint, but a critical standpoint where I'm analyzing what's going on. He who is without sin cast the first stone. So nobody's without sin. Nobody has made no mistakes in their life. And that's really, when I joined the Marine Corps, I was trying to be Captain America and live in this righteous, upright way and trying to be perfect. But that's such an unrealistic expectation. So I've realized I don't have to hold myself up to being the hero. I've realized I'm more of the anti-hero. I get results, and I'm always working to do things for the right reasons, and giving yourself permission to fail. Like, I failed a lot, but not for lack of trying. I've tried a lot of times. And a lot of people will fail because they've never tried, because they don't give themselves permission to fail. So right off the bat, they're just going to fail.
Right. Well, what's coming up for me a lot about guilt and regret is I can sense that I'm creating energetic cords or ethereal cords to the people, places, or things that I have regret on. I can sense that I'm latching out energetically to create a cord with this person, and no matter how many times I cut it, it keeps coming up, keeps wanting to latch on, and I know it's coming from me because I'm the one with the regret and the shame and the guilt. And so what can someone do besides just keep cutting those cords, and communicate, letting it out verbally and cutting this cord? I mean, what can I do besides just cutting this cord that I have?
Forgiveness. I mean, one technique that just popped into mind, Ho'oponopono. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. So if you go through, Ho'oponopono holds a lot of energy to dissolve those connections. But a lot of it is disciplining your mind. Because I noticed years ago in a healing session, I was dealing with trauma, and the person doing the session, she goes, why do you keep opening portals to those places? I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you keep opening portals, and I keep having to close them. And so I had all these portals going on. So the energies of those situations were flowing right back to me. So along the lines of cords, but when I just think of something, I open up a portal and I go back there, and I'm actually kind of remote viewing it. So when I open up that portal and I kind of go back into that scenario, I'm bringing that energy of trauma back to me. So it's about being conscious with your mind and closing those portals. So you don't have all these open portals where your energy is just bleeding out to all these past situations and other people. We got a comment from Tammy Livingston. Hi, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Great to hear from you. Have you met her? Did we do a session?
Yeah, she's an old family friend.
Oh yeah.
Hi Tammy, she's in Lakewood, Ohio.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Right. It's interesting you talk about portals. So you're talking about dwelling on the thought that takes you back to the actual scenario through a portal.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way, but right before you said disciplining the mind, because this is what I intuitively know is to wake up and meditate, because the more I meditate, the more it turns off that static noise of my brain to get in there and psychoanalyze things. It kind of calms all that down. And then all of a sudden, the more I meditate, the more I'm not even I'm thinking more clearly. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking negatively. I'm able to be more in the present. So it's interesting that you said that, disciplining the mind. Meditation is life changing for sure.
This kind of also goes along with, the book you just suggested. But yeah, when I realized I probably don't actually have as good of a memory as I think I do. I think a lot of it is actual like remote viewing. I don't remember things. I just kind of go back and look at them and bring that information forward. But it's remembering to close those portals behind me and not. And I tell empaths this all the time. It's about tasting it, but not eating it. So you feel everyone around you. And this is something you had to work on so you could taste the energy of what they're experiencing without taking it on, without eating, without bringing that experience to be your own experience. So keeping it at arm's length where you can feel what they're doing, feel how they feel, but not letting it impact you.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and it's like I think my entire life learning is how to do that, because it's not easy, and it's easy for empaths to latch onto overeating or drug use or alcohol or sex compulsively, because you're constantly looking for a way to feel comfortable, because you're having all this energy, you're having all the energy brought to you, so you want to release through. I mean, for me, the big one is overeating, feeling comfortable, because I've lived my whole life uncomfortable, really, not knowing what that was, not knowing that I was feeling other people's feelings. And
Yeah.
Real quick, because Tammy popped in and she's in Lakewood, there's a great, talking about meditation, there's a great center for meditation called the Shambhala Center in Lakewood, where we've gone before.
Yeah.
And meditated there. And so a quick shout out to anyone in Lakewood if looking to discipline the mind and learn about meditation, because honestly, meditation is the pathway. It's the spiritual muscle that strengthens my spiritual abilities. Like going to the gym is working out your muscles. So meditation is working out the muscles of the mind and spiritual abilities. So I'm a big fan of meditation. I tell everybody everyone should be meditating. And a fun fact that, they've discovered that people who are meditating in a town, the more people that are meditating is the more peaceful the town is.
Yeah.
I wish I had that fact on me right now, the source of that study. But the more people in a town that's meditating, the more peaceful the town is. There's less violence. That's true.
Yeah. And a lot of, along with, transforming and transmuting the energy of the area, that's why I build temples everywhere I go. It's like little acupuncture points in that region. So when I leave this region and I'm heading to Sedona soon, heading to Colorado soon, heading to Hawaii soon, Australia soon. But my hand has touched this land. My temple is there continuing to transmute the energy of this whole region. And you were saying once we got that circle active, you could feel it going past where you lived. That was what, 5-10 miles away?
Yeah, I can sense that your stone circle from a long distance away. Especially if I come over your house, I have a strong calling to go back there and work on it. And so it's really important to right now open, I guess you can call them grids, spiritual grids into the earth, to let light and love come through the earth to kind of cleanse the earth right now. I think that's really important, and continue to that work wherever you go.
Yeah. That book you suggested really started transforming things. And, it's information I've heard before, but it's hard to remember, especially when you're around a lot of people that can be negative, a lot of people that are stuck in victim mindset. And that's a lot of people here in Ohio, because it is such a struggle. It's a very depressed. What's that?
Are you talking about Neville Goddard?
Yes. I can't remember. What was the name of the book?
Neville Goddard's Feeling is the Secret.
Yes, that one. I listened to a few related ones after that popped up. So as I'm out driving around, I'll listen to that. And it was really about feeling, not just think happy thoughts, but it goes back to, feeling, or, what thoughts you have, you then put energy behind, which are the feelings. You feel that, and you push it, you feel it very intensely, then push that out to the world. And then you put action behind it. The action wasn't even part of that book, but by focusing on what I want to accomplish, what I want to feel, and feeling that more powerfully than I'm feeling the negative stuff, because I'm putting intention to feeling the positive things. I'm focusing on the happiness, the love, the joy, the abundance in my life. Some of these other thoughts are still there, but if I'm focusing on the positive ones, that's bringing all that into my experience and transforming my experience.
Right. And to act as if in your mind you already have the thing you desire.
Yeah.
And feeling connected to, say you want a new job, is to act as if you already have that job, and what it would feel like to have it in your soul, how happy you would be, joyous, and to, in your mind, act as if you already have it, to manifest it. That's the secret of like Neville Goddard's teachings, and it's very powerful, and it works in my life. I mean, I've used that technique, and here I have a new house that I've been using that technique with. So it really works. It does work.
So interesting. Right after that, I worked with Jess the Aussie, and we read another manifestation book, which was right along that same line, about feeling it in your mind, clearing out the blocks, letting your nervous system acclimatize to it, so it's not a shock, and your nervous system rejects it then, and then making it part of who you are. So instead of feeling like you're a screw up, feeling like you're successful, and making that as part of your identity. And if you don't have those, the mental level, the nervous system, and your identity level, if you don't have all those in line, it's not going to happen. It's going to be rejected on the subconscious level, on some level.
Right, because our thoughts create form. There's a Neville Goddard quote from that book, and he says that the world and everything within it is man's conditioned consciousness objectified, which means we create form with our thoughts. And I love that quote.
It's been an interesting set of synchronicities. So I was sent a video, I think Jess the Aussie actually sent me it, of Aboriginals in Australia talking about how there's no difference between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. There's no barriers. It's all one. So what you do in your mind, it goes out to all levels. And then that book on manifestation we're reading, it talked about shifting your perception. So all of this in the multiverse, all of these timelines are happening concurrently. And it's just where our subconscious mind is focusing on. So right now we're on this timeline, but that timeline's happening, that timeline's happening, that timeline's happening. And it's so you can timeline jump just by shifting your consciousness and awareness to these other timelines. And then Frank did a journey. I don't know if you've met Frank or not, but Frank did a journey, and he got this information that, hey, it's all happening right here, and it's just where our focus is being put. So it was all this amazing synchronicity to come together to go, okay, now I see the path forward, and kind of have refined some techniques to help people with that. And I'm working on hypnosis to kind of get the mental body, the nervous system, and the self-identity lined up in people so they can tune into the reality that they choose. Well, they are choosing a reality right now, but oftentimes it's not the positive reality. It's not the positive timeline.
You know, what was coming to me right now is because we're going to do this weekly, but to expand on that, we should also, I would like to do talking about that, like a distance healing through this. Maybe we can rotate it one day a week. I do a distance healing for those who are watching these videos, and then you do a distance healing. You know, I think that'd be great to expand on this.
Absolutely.
Talking about there's no distance, you know.
And if anyone's watching, if you need any healing or advice or questions, feel free to throw it up in the comments. We can address it and try and do some healing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very fun. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
I would love to.
And it's, I love it because it's like a puzzle trying to help people achieve their goals. It's like a puzzle. You have to try and figure out how to put all the pieces together to get the end result you want. And it kind of goes back to the Peruvian tradition called Pugliai, which means divine play. So many traditions, the spiritual realms are very somber, very serious. You have to take it serious. You almost have to, I don't want to say just have a stick up your butt, and it's very serious and it has to be done this way. And that they talk about the levels of the priesthood in the Peruvian tradition, the tradition of the Q'ero, or what most people know as the Inca. But the Inca was just the one who glowed the brightest, the ruler of the Q'ero people. But they talked about, I kind of lost that train of thought. The levels of the priesthood. So you have, the Pampa Masayoc, or the lower priesthood, and they work through ceremony. They have work to perfect the ceremony and do it exactly right. And then if a candle knocks over, a feather blows away, the incense is blowing over a certain item on the mesa, they glean information through that. And the lower mesa is kind of coming more from a lower level of consciousness, like the third level of consciousness, where it's kind of a fear-based system. And they have to do it right to appease the nature spirits, or they will be angry. Not always. That's a rough generalization. But when you come up to the Alto Masayoc, the high priesthood, or the Kurak al Kuyak, the great digester of coca, which is like the royal priesthood, you don't have to do anything correctly. There is no correctly. You show up, and it's the intention behind it. You have all the knowledge of the lower priesthood, but if the candle in the ceremony blows out or falls over, or you don't say something quite right, or you jumble it out of order, you're not going to feel like, they're going to smite you for doing it incorrectly. It's a very different experience. So, and the Pugliai, the divine play, it's a game. Have fun. So many people in my life have like, you don't take anything seriously. I'm like, no, I don't. It's all a game. We're just here for the experience. We're here along this path to have an experience and help other people raise their level of experience. And it's a game. It's fun. If you get too caught up in the seriousness of it, you're going to lose your passion. But by having that childlike wonder and awe about everything, when I travel, I try and have these fresh eyes, this childlike wonder. And as I'm going through and doors open up, I just say, yes, please. It's a huge manifestation technique. Is just an opportunity presents itself. Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's just,
yes, please, or yes, please, or what else is possible.
Yeah.
Even if you have an experience that's bad, what else is possible? That's what I do. Or a good experience. What else is possible?
Yeah. Or how does it get any better than this? And by asking that, the universe will answer.
You're talking about taking things so seriously. An issue I have is worrying. I worry so much about things, and and outcomes of things. And then I've just come to a place, just from talking to my dad. My dad is like, why do you worry so much? Everything works out. I'm like, oh, okay. It's true that everything changes, life changes, things change, and the worry always works out in the end. So is that a failure of having faith or what? Because things are going to work out no matter what. So why worry to begin with? Why stress about something that's going to work out in the end? The universe has a solution for every problem the moment the problem arises. So why would I worry myself to death trying to get in the middle of an outcome when it's going to work out in the end anyway?
I found this amazing adage and a very huge, powerful realization for me. And it came actually in scuba class. Yeah, scuba diving. They said if you get caught up in the coral or you get a rope wrapped around you, they say stop, don't panic. Do you have air to breathe? Look at your air gauge. Do you have air to breathe? Then you're okay. So it's not, worrying about something that's going to happen. You have air to breathe, you're okay. So oftentimes, people worry, which is anxiety. Worrying and anxiety is, worrying about things that haven't come yet to pass. So if you stop and go, okay, do I have air to breathe? In other words, do I have a roof over my head? Do I have food to eat? Do I have gas to put in my fuel tank? Am I okay? Am I warm? Am I freezing to death out in the cold? And, oftentimes the answer is no. So there's no real danger. There's nothing that's really threatening you at that moment. It's, I might not be able to pay my rent next week. I might not be able to make my car payment next month. I might not be able to pay my phone bill. So it's these things that might come to pass. And if you take the proper steps, you can work to prevent those. So there's nothing to worry about. And depression is, lamenting over things of the past that you can't change. So, it's about being present in the moment, because if you're depressed and worrying about things from the past, you can't change that. You can work to change things in the future, but you're not there yet. You're not at this catastrophic collapse yet.
A mentor of mine used to say, and I love this saying, we're in the footwork business, God is in the results business. I love that saying.
Yeah.
So with the last, go ahead.
So Tammy just threw up a comment. She said, my dad said the same thing, Kirk. I remember that as much as I can.
Yeah, about worrying. Why worry when everything's going to work out in the end? It always does. So why stress out about it? Why worry about it? It's fascinating. And it's true. So if I get in this place of like, well, this is going to work out in the end. So why just, okay, it is what it is, and be okay with it. It's like, I have a joyous wonder in the appreciation that this is an experience I'm going through that's going to work out in the end anyway. So coming back to that childlike joy that you said earlier, to have that in everything you do, man, what a stress-free life that would be.
Yeah.
And that's why, my oldest sister is mentally handicapped, and I know she's gonna live forever because she doesn't have any stress in her life. The only stress she has is, things. She's fed, she's sheltered, she goes to a workshop where people love on her, and so I'm like, well, thinking she's gonna outlast us all. She's the oldest, she's gonna live forever because she has no stress. She's not worried about like paying the bills or whatever because it's stress-free. And like, what an amazing life that would be to not be stressed out and worried about things, so that you can live a long life, because stress is probably the number one killer,
Oh yeah, it's really hard on your body. It's not just mentally taxing. It's not just energetically heavy. There is a whole biochemistry to it between the cortisol and adrenal burnout. You get to the point where you're in such adrenal burnout that heavy amounts of caffeine or other stimulants don't even do anything because your adrenals are so shot. So you need to actually focus on calming the nervous system down. So if you get to that point where coffee isn't working, stop drinking coffee and work on, rejuvenating your body.
Yeah. Brian will make you some matcha green tea.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. He makes good stuff. Yeah. Well, it's almost been an hour, and I think we should limit these talks to an hour. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, but unfortunately, we haven't even gotten to the topic I wanted to talk about, which is the Schuman resonance being off the charts. I've gotten told, yesterday or the day before, a few friends sent me pictures of the Schuman resonance, and it's just unprecedented how high it is. And so many people are tired, so many people are stressed out, so many people are going through all these changes that they're probably unaware of, along with a very powerful new moon cycle. What are you experiencing?
Well, first of all, for those who don't know, explain what you're talking about, the Schuman resonance. What is that?
What's that?
For those who don't know, why don't you explain first what is Schuman resonance? What are you talking about there?
So the Schuman resonance is the baseline vibration for the planet. Tammy just sent a comment. She said, you guys should do this again. Well, yeah, absolutely. We're going to try and make this a weekly thing.
Yeah, every Sunday, I think it would be good.
So the Schuman resonance is the baseline vibration for the planet. It used to be like 3 to 4, then it jumped up to 7 to 8, and then 36, and then it just kept going up until it got into the hundreds, and now I don't even know the number. I mean, it goes up and down. It's not a straight line up, but it fluctuates. But the sun is putting out more energy. And they talk about the great solar flash that's going to happen. We've been experiencing massive flashes from the sun that are just going to continue to build higher and higher and higher. So when the heat lamp is turned up, whatever is shining on, the heat lamp is shining on is also going to heat up. So as the energy coming off the sun is intensifying, the Earth's energy is raising and the vibration is getting higher. And the tide raises all boats. So if you're standing on this rock, which is getting hotter, so imagine I drop you in Antarctica without a coat on or anything, and the vibration is low. Temperature is just the average kinetic energy. So imagine a very low energy environment. What's going to happen? You're going to cool off really quick. It's going to suck the energy right out of you. Now, say you're in the middle of the Sahara with the sun beating down on you. What's going to happen? You're going to get really hot because you're getting a lot of kinetic energy added into the system. So think outside, use the temperature as kind of an example, and then look at the energy of the Earth. As the sun is causing the energy of the Earth to increase and the vibration to rise, everyone standing on that rock, their vibration is raising. So the tide raises all boats. And as their vibration raises, their level of consciousness raises. So the fact that we can talk about these spiritual topics, we can talk about entities, we can talk about psychic phenomena a decade, 2 decades ago, they would have thought we're crazy and locked us up in a padded room. But now that the level of consciousness, people, on the news, they're talking about UFOs. People are talking about chemtrails. People are talking about so many of these topics that used to be taboo. They're talking about spirituality, and people are now seeking real answers. They're going, well, okay, it seems in these mainstream religions, there's been some details that have been left out. In fact, in the Christian Bible, over 60% of the books were redacted out in the Council of Nicaea. So 60% of all those teachings were removed. So how about the other books that have been around for hundreds and thousands of years? What else has been? In fact, I was talking to Frank about this. Back in the day, the very secret esoteric information wasn't even written down. It was spread orally inside these secret traditions. So the fact that that is starting to kind of transmute out to the lay people or the standard population, it's really amazing. So as everyone's level of consciousness comes up, we have a collective human consciousness on this planet. So everyone's tapped in, which is similar to the 100th monkey syndrome. So you had 100 monkeys on this island. Well, you had an island with monkeys, and the monkeys found that by washing the yams or the sweet potatoes, they tasted better. So when 100 monkeys started doing that, that transferred across the psychic grid of the monkeys, and they started doing that on other islands, completely separated by water. They didn't see the other monkeys doing it, so just psychically it got transferred out. So as the vibration raises, the whole human collective consciousness raises, and then we can start talking about these topics that were taboo a decade or two ago.
Where I can see that happening in reality today is because this has been on my mind probably the past 2 years, and I haven't really said it out loud, except for a few friends, is our taxes in the United States and why we get taxed on overtime. And I was thinking, man, it would be so great if people didn't get taxed on overtime. And now you come into the psyche that they're talking about getting rid of the taxes for overtime. And I'm like, oh, it's because so many people are talking about it and thinking about it. It's manifesting itself, hopefully, knock on wood, on the real plane.
Well, they're unconstitutional, the taxes. It's not in the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't grant us freedoms. It limits the government. A lot of people have a lot of misunderstandings, intentionally so, because the government doesn't want you knowing that this is a country for the people, by the people. As civilians, you are the highest official in the land. You elect representatives. We are not a democracy. America is not a democracy. So all this, spewing of lies, protect democracy. We're a representative republic. It is completely different, and they're conflated to be the same. It is not. Yeah. The representative republic, you elect representatives to operate in an efficient manner for you, and it is to protect the interest of the vast majority. Whereas democracy, everybody's voice matters. Everybody needs to be heard. Now, everybody needs to be respected and taken care of. However, these loud minorities are pushing agenda on the whole populace, which is not how it's supposed to be. So there's so many things, but the Constitution has what's called enumerated powers for the federal government. So what those enumerated powers are, those are powers and privileges given to the federal government. And if it's not in those enumerated powers, the federal government doesn't have the ability to do that, like regulate plants. Yeah, DEA, completely unconstitutional. ATF, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does the ATF do? They infringe upon those rights. And also, there is no enumerated power giving the executive branch the ability to create the ATF or FDA. Or you can go through all these three-letter organizations, which are all completely unconstitutional because those are not powers enumerated in the Constitution that give the federal government the power to do that.
Right. Before we get too deep on that, we should say that for our next episode.
Episode.
Because I can tell you want to get deep with that, and we can, but we should keep this to an hour. And I think.
Oh, yeah. So we're at an hour and 4 minutes now.
Yeah. I think that would be a good discussion for next week. And not to get us turn our channel censored on the very first episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody has talked about getting censored, and I haven't gotten censored yet. I've said a lot of controversial things, and they haven't censored me yet, luckily. But they have shadow banned me. Now, I'm hoping with everything going on and the push for freedom of speech, that's a right guaranteed by the Constitution, that's protected by the Constitution. You inherently have a right to free speech, and the Constitution guarantees that right. It protects that right. So hopefully that starts happening, and a lot of the censorship gets taken down, and now the message will be able to reach a lot more populace. whereas it was limited who saw it before. Now, hopefully we start reaching a larger population.
Mhm. And to heal the world, first we must heal within ourselves. And so how about this? I'm gonna exit the screen and leave, and then you can end this with like a quick healing session if you want to do something verbal or what based on a topic that we did today, say guilt or remorse or letting go of shame. We should end this with you doing a healing. Is that all right?
Yeah. Well, why don't you stay on and we'll get some feedback. So what are you feeling?
Partially, I'm gonna exit because I have to use the restroom, but I'll still.
Okay.
But I'm gonna exit. But why don't you finish it out? So is that all right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, namaste, aloha, so much love, and here's Brian. Let's close it out on a good healing session. I think is a yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. This is great.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too, brother. Okay. Thank you for everyone tuning in. This has been just an amazing experience. I don't want to make it too long so nobody has time to sit around for hours upon hours and hours watching videos. So we've talked about a lot. It's been some amazing topics. Kirk is just an amazing healer, amazing empath. So let's focus on being present in the center of the moment. So I'll just do a really quick meditation to help you ground. So if you're there, if you're watching, I'd like you to sit down, get comfortable, lay down, and just kind of focus on your breath and intentionally breathe. Kirk just sent a message. So much fun. I'm glad he joined in. That was great. So, okay, I'd like you to get centered and just kind of stop and think. And one of the biggest things is you'll have thoughts. Trying to attain empty awareness can be challenging. But just those noise, thoughts, all the commotion, all the chaos, imagine them like wind blowing in the leaves or leaves blowing in the wind. Let them pass right through you. Just look at them, acknowledge them, and realize you don't have to address them at this moment. And you can do this at any time. But I'd like you to breathe. Focus in. Breathe in through your nose, deep down into your abdomen, and hold it for the count of 1, 2, 3. Release it back out your mouth, letting go of any heavy energy, breathing that back out to the earth. And when you're empty, hold it for the count of 1, 2, 3. Again, breathe in through your nose, deep down into your abdomen. Peace, love, breathe it all in and hold it for the count of 1, 2, 3. Again, breathe out all that stress out through your mouth and then hold it out for the count of 1, 2, 3. Continue to breathe in this pattern, inhaling peace, love, tranquility, exhaling all the stress, all the worries, all that heavy and chaotic energy. I'd like you to just relax in and imagine yourself as a tree, just with branches reaching out, roots going deep down into the earth. Imagine sending roots out your tailbone, out your feet, going down through the soil, down through the rocks, wrapping around the warm red center of the earth. But set the intention to connect with the highest of Earth Mother, the highest dimensional Mother Earth, the highest dimensional cosmic Mother, and start drinking up that warm red love energy through your roots, up through the bottoms of your feet. Pull it up past your knees, past your hips. Feel it climbing your spine, going up your back. Bring it up and out the top of your head. Imagine branches coming out, using that energy to build branches, growing out, spanning across the cosmos, from infinity to infinity and beyond. And imagine unfurling leaves off of those branches. And start drinking in that cool, crisp, cosmic light energy. Drink it in through the leaves, over your head like a waterfall, cascading, washing off all those heavy thoughts, cascading down over your throat, washing away everything that holds you back from speaking your mind, that holds you back from knowing your truth, holds you back from talking. Wash that all away. Feel it go over your shoulders, washing away any burden, any heaviness you're carrying, any big loads that are too hard to handle. Just let all that energetic burden wash off. Feel that cool, crisp, cosmic light energy go over your chest, washing off any heavy emotions, any sadness, any grief, any anger. Feel it soothing that anger, washing away that sadness. Let it push down over your abdomen, over your solar plex, washing away anything that makes you feel less than confident, anything that takes away your power. Continue letting that energy push down over your sacral chakra, washing away anything that holds you back from feeling joy, from passion, from creation, anything that holds you back. Let it wash that away. Let it wash over your root chakra, washing away any heaviness, any survival, any struggle, anything that just is holding you in that stressful survival state. Just wash it off. Let it go down your legs and out your feet. Give it back to Mother Earth so that she can recycle it and give it back, transmuted into love energy. Continue to pull that love energy up, concentrating it in your heart. Pull that light energy down and concentrate that in your heart. And let your heart start to glow and expand, bigger and bigger, more and more energy. And you feel that overflowing into your solar plex, making you feel powerful and confident. Let your heart overflow into your throat, giving you the power to speak your truth, to speak, to feel confident in conversing and telling what you feel, what you think about, sharing your light with the world. Let your solar plex overflow into your sacral, your place of creation, your place of joy, your place of happiness. Let that start filling up and expanding. Let your throat overflow into your third eye, opening up your psychic abilities, your ability to perceive in the higher dimensions, to hear, to see, to know. Let your sacral overflow into your root, feeling that wash away all the heaviness, feeling that energy start filling up your root and building that strength, making you feel safe, supported, secure. Let your third eye overflow into your crown. Feel your crown opening up to the higher dimensions, being able to receive higher dimensional energy and information, healing. Let your root overflow into your grounding chakra between your feet, connecting you to the earth, grounding you in a very secure, powerful way so you can get more energy from the earth and ground off any heaviness you have. Feel your crown overflowing into your higher chakras, your soul star connecting you to your higher self, your divine gateway connecting you to source and divinity. And once that's open, imagine a stream of source energy, of divine energy flowing in through your divine gateway, in through your soul star, in through your crown, washing over you, flowing down into your heart, combining the love energy, the light energy, and now this divine cosmic energy. Let that expand and start to fill your whole chest, your whole torso, your whole energy field. Feel it continue to expand out and out and out. And just sit in this beautiful connected energy space, letting all worries go, feeling beautifully connected, peaceful, calm, energized, and keeping this connection open always. becoming more and more present back in the room. Feeling your body, feeling the chair or the bed underneath of you. Take a breath in and reconnect with the world. Feel better, feel good, feel lighter. Feel your breath, feel that energy coming in. Okay, well, I will leave you with that. Thank you for joining. I hope you feel a little bit better after that, a little bit lighter after that, a little bit more connected after that. And if you'd like, feel free to reach out. I will get my website up and going. I will get a booking link, but Brian Daniel Edwards on Facebook or Instagram. So feel free to reach out, send me a message. And if you'd like a private session or would like to attend one of the workshops we have coming up, feel free to reach out. I look forward to working with you. Aloha. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
We hope you enjoyed this video session. Please support the Infinite Love Movement by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. Visit theinfinitelovemovement.org to sign up for healing sessions, classes, and events with Brian. Find your